What is up, everybody? Peace Tab here. Welcome back for the next episode here on our one-time speed with Algeria. So it looks like we were able to successfully take the city of Rabat, and we do have to go in and clean up some of these red areas, but so far so good. I do not believe we heard back from Italy, so they still have not accepted our coalition application, but hopefully we'll hear back from them soon. We're still going to keep some troops in the area just in case they decide to maybe push and try to attack. Greece. Greece has attacked Malta. Or I guess technically Valletta. Valletta? I call it Malta, so I'm probably definitely wrong, but I know it is Malta just from visiting Italy and seeing it. But let's take these troops, we'll push them down here. Let's clean up some of this red area. And we'll actually go ahead and see about moving these troops over onto this land base with the United Kingdom. Now, I know you're going to say, for those of you who have played the game, that I'm moving my troops too quickly from this area, because for those who have not played this game, when the cities are first conquered and they have a lot of smoke like this flowing around, they are very susceptible to being overthrown by, let's say, they call them the rebels or the rebellion state. Let's see if I can pull them up real quick. If they are in the game yet, they're probably not. But essentially what happens is, if you conquer a city and then you leave too quickly, another AI-based enemy will form. They're called the rogue state. So you kind of think of them as like a rogue nation where. So right now, this city is my city, and I'm moving my troops out of here to go and conquer this little peninsula, this little land piece of the United Kingdom at the south of Spain. Well, by doing so, I take a risk because this city isn't fully what they would probably consider fixed, and that's because of the morale down here. So right down here at the bottom, it says it is at 25% morale for this city. These smoking effect that you see won't go away until the population percent hits 34. And once you hit 34, then you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to keep troops in the city. You can have it be moved away, and it'll essentially look like any other city. The morale level will still be a bit lower, but you don't have to worry about a rogue state coming in, taking over the city, and then essentially you'll have to send troops and waste supplies to go back and recapture that city, and then repair any buildings or infrastructure or anything that you had previously built in there. You'll have to rebuild them again. So if this were to turn into a rogue state, and most likely I would have to go back and re-invade, I would probably have to rebuild my army base and repair my air base and pretty much fix a lot of these buildings, because they will be broken or they will be completely lost, and that is resources taken out of my disposal that I don't want to risk. So with that also being said, we've already annexed this city, so we're going to start a level 2 army base. Actually, no, correction. We're going to start a level 2 naval. The reason being is this is our farthest city, closest to the Atlantic, and my goal is to produce some ships to block off this area at some point, hopefully soon. It's a lot easier if I already have a city here that can produce a level 3 this is called a caching class, or a level 3 destroyer, which is what you need just to help block it off, and as well as an attack submarine. Because ideally, if I can close off this area and I can get a few more, maybe the smaller ships, some of my covert ships, I can protect my coastline and really ensure that I don't have to worry about too many other enemies. Maybe get another destroyer in between me and Italy, as long as they accept it, or right around here. And it would just put me in a much safer position to kind of grow as I need to, continue to collect my personnel. And that's also one of the reasons why usually I don't like capturing naval or sea-based cities. They're easy to conquer in the beginning, but I'll typically annex inner city ones, because it's very easy for another nation. Like right now, Algeria is extremely vulnerable to a quick naval attack from another country. They can come up with even a level 1, what's the name of the class? Number 1 Corvette class, which almost anybody can build from the very beginning. Someone can send one over, and while I'm gone for maybe a few hours a day, attack one city at a time. And all 4 of these cities right here can be attacked by that ship, which essentially would pretty much cripple my entire ability to make any type of material. I'd lose all my units, and I would only be left with just Constantine. And if the player wanted to, they would wait until a rogue state would form in these areas, which would be a lot easier for them to take over with a standard mechanized infantry unit and essentially claim this whole region for themselves. So I really do want to try to see if I can get any of these cities to pump out that specific ship. I'm actually going to see if I could do it just about now, because I don't want to be left in a position where I'm not protected, but they need a level 2 naval base. We'll start building those up. It is going to take some time. Oh, that's right. You have to select one at a time. So it's going to take some time. 9 hours and 33 minutes. So that won't be done by time we probably come back a little bit later. I'm doing this part of the episode in between my work, but I can at least get it started. We need 500 chips. We'll go into the market and see if we can pick up some electronics for not a bad price. We do have some cash, not a lot, but we need 500. We have 3. We can get another 300 just to make sure we have extra, and we could afford that. And we will start this 3rd naval sip, and that way, by the time all of these are done in 9-ish hours, we will be able to produce those ships and just help protect our coastline. But yeah, so far we're doing all right. Hopefully Italy will get back to us and they will accept our application to join the coalition. In the meantime, let's take a look to see how Spain and them are doing. Kind of seems like everyone's not doing much. France hasn't even moved from this area, so definitely a much slower gameplay than I am used to. Usually by now there would be all havoc. France would have been halfway through Spain. Italy may have even taken over half of my area. So I have to get used to the fact that this was France's first move, and that might be their only move for a while. So just like for me, I took Arbat and that's it. Technically, compared to everybody else, they don't see me moving to take these regions yet. They just see that being my only accomplishment so far this game since for day 3. So I have to be mindful of that can just kind of happen and change at any moment. So we'll look around the map real quick, just see if there's anything else happening we're not completely aware of. Looks like Greece is expanding upwards, so Greece is a very active player. So we may need to try to get this land back from Greece, just to kind of tell them, hey, back off, kind of stay away from our region. That is a very smart and strategic area to have if you want to maybe move troops here to fly over. And it does allow you to control part of the Mediterranean if you put naval bases there and can produce naval ships and decide to annex that little part of the water there, the island. That's also kind of one of the benefits that Italy has with this Sicilian region down here, is that they put a pretty strong naval production base here, maybe lower the recruiting. They can make a very strong navy that can just kind of patrol this middle area. But like normal, Belarus, Baltic states, they're going at it. Sweden still trying to push into this Jämtland. Definitely saying that wrong. Vermont's moving a little bit, or the United States is taking over Vermont, something like that. Looks like the Canada and US are splitting this up nicely, and they're probably in a group together now. Nope, but the US does have a coalition, so we do need to be mindful of who may possibly join that. Russia, United States, and Germany, all with the same flag. If that is a coalition that exists right now, that is going to be not good news for us, and it is Okay. That is definitely a bit worrisome. Then we have Greece and the Baltics, and the Islamic State was Turkey, Syria, Iran. Okay. And then Italy is by itself right here. So we could also decide to just join this Greece Baltic state coalition, but it's not a bad idea. Now that I think about it, I just don't like the fact that the Baltic states is in there being so close to Russia and kind of being wedged in between Russia and Germany. I mean, definitely would rather it be Greece and maybe someone else down here, someone a little bit lower, because that is a pretty hefty distance to try to cover if we were to team up. And it does, if Germany decides they want to push into Poland and then from Poland go into the Baltics, it would really put them in a bad spot there that's a lot of land for one, even two countries to try to cover to combine their fronts together. For me and Greece, it would be a little bit easier taking this and then we could both take on Italy and kind of maybe connect this way. But still, that's a very large distance to cover. But there are a lot of other countries here that just don't belong to anybody. So maybe by time I come back later this afternoon, if nothing really changes as well as the coalitions or groups, we might actually start up trying to make our own. That might be an idea we can go with if we don't do it within the entirety of this episode that's going to come out later. Maybe we will make our own coalition. I'll let you guys decide. Decide maybe, hey, we'll make one. We'll see down in the comments, or maybe we should just stay on our own and wait it out a little bit and see kind of what takes on its shape going on here. But for now, we're gonna let some time pass. We are on day 3 at 12:19, and we will check back in a little bit later to kind of see the progress in what we make. All right, see you shortly. 4. And everything looks about the same. Italy is not green yet, so it looks like they have not accepted our application to the coalition just yet. But that's okay. This is only a one-time speed, so it can take some time. France looks like they've only taken that one area and nothing else, but they do have troops there because the smoke went away. So we do know there isn't a French force on that island or on that city right there. Speaking of cities, so like I mentioned in the last episode about moving these troops too soon, well, it did happen. So that unit I moved over from this city took too long to get here, and as a result, the local insurgency showed up. Now you get to see exactly what I was talking about from the last episode. So as soon as the city becomes vacated and it's not up to par, this will happen. And just like how I said before, the city lost all of those buildings I had before it. So those are all resources I'm now going to have to rebuild. But it's okay. We have a unit there with a life of 10.4, where the local insurgency has a life of 10.3. That is a close battle. But if you can tell from before, they started with 25 health, where our mechanized infantry only had 15. So we are doing more damage to them than they are doing to us, even though the health is very close right now. But just for safety measures, we're going to go set our plane to attack just to help out, even though it's only a air superiority fighter. It will help us a lot in the sense of getting, I guess, some cover there. Always bombing or attacking the local insurgency with that jet. Now, with that being said, we need to figure out what our next move is going to be. We have a lot of troops here. We have a lot more troops building up slowly. We landed our force here at the bottom of Spain, took over that little bit of the island from the UK, which does mean that we do have a war currently going on with the United Kingdom. Not ideal. What we could do is maybe send a force to the backside of the United Kingdom right here and see if we can take some of that land. Not sure how risky that would be doing in a one-time speed game, but we also could utilize the fact that Portugal is AFK, Spain is also AFK, and we could start a scrimmage with both of those countries. Definitely a bit more realistic of an option. We do have the manpower already there, and it would be very easy to send this troops up there, rally these 3 to 4, put them here, and continue to attack. But we also very easily can not do anything and just keep building up our troops. We are short on the supplies, but I believe we could buy some, so we need 3,250. Looks like we could purchase, I guess, 5 or 3. Why not? But you can purchase a couple. So let's do about 300. That would give us all the supplies we need to produce these infantry. And we are also upgrading to the next level here. So level 2, which will give our unit a little bit of a boost. They still have some low attack mods when it comes to the mountains, jungle, and the tundra in the Arctics, but we hopefully will not be battling in any of those areas. But let's take a look at the terrain. Let's see what we're getting into over here, because I see mostly mountains. But let's just double check, and we can do that using the terrain function right here. So we can push up. The easiest route of attack, it looks like, would be to land more troops here and to push directly in. The reason being is how this map is colored out. So this yellow is considered more of a desert area. The whitish color that you see here is indicated by the mountains. This this light green color is considered a flatland, so it's very easy for troops to move across that area, especially if you're talking about places out like in Russia, where a lot of it is this flatland, especially in this lower region of Ukraine and Russia. There's also, looks like there's some trees here, which is a slightly darker green, but not the darkest of them all. But does add a little bit of difficulty for navigation, or traversing through these areas. But the hardest for our troops to get through is going to be what they consider the jungle. Now, whether or not we have any jungle area on this map that I can show you guys, I'm not sure. But it is a much darker green, and that area our infantry, our mechanized infantry, cannot travel through that well. It has a hard time, it loses a lot of attack points, and we need to be careful of those regions if we're utilizing these units. So right here, this is what I'm talking about. This type of terrain, our units cannot push through easily. They will get bogged down, they will lose a percentage of their attack points, and overall just not have a fun day. And then that leaves one more color, this off red color, which is all of the city areas or urban areas in the game. So just an idea of how the game breaks down. Spain has a wonderful mountain ridge line here to help separate them from France and themselves. And this is important because the way this game works, if we decide to take over Spain, it would really help give us a good barrier when it comes to France if we could get some units to protect this city and get some boats in the water, because the game, when you utilize the AI's ability to move troops, it will always move the path of least resistance. So I took these 3 units and wanted to move them to here. Instead of going across the land, because there's a bunch of different obstacles to go through in a sense of terrain wise, besides this lower one right here, it's easier for these 2 cities to go out into the water, come down, and disembark here in the city than it would be to travel through the mountains and through all this other terrain. And the AI works the same way for every other country, unless you manually set your units to go in a different direction by, let's say, selecting one and using this waypoint to say, no, I want you to go somewhere else. That is important to know, because that's most likely why France attacked here without going through any of these areas. They disembarked here, they landed here, and they attacked. With that being said, if you can put a significant force on these areas, countries like France are not going to be able to just come and land and take over your islands without risking going through these mountains, wasting the time, wasting the resources, and opening themselves up for a counterattack while their troops are well on health and attack ability. So we can utilize all this information to our advantage. Now, I'm going to take these units, I'm going to put my trust that Italy is not going to be doing anything too crazy and move them here, because my goal is to take these units, attack Malaga, and then take these units and go up to Seville. And that's where we're going to leave off for today's episode. This is a slow progress. We already knew that, and I'm thinking this will be our best approach to expansion. And most likely, we will end up winning the city battle. Even though the health is still close, we do have our jet running back and forth, attacking that unit, and they will just end up helping us in the future get the better edge and eventually win over the city, where we can rebuild, hopefully get those naval units out again and get some boats in the water to help increase our odds of winning. Something else for me to keep in mind and for us to think about, by next episode, if Italy doesn't appear to come back online, doesn't appear to accept us into the coalition, we may consider making our own coalition. France is not in one, and we know France is somewhat playing because they have taken over some area. And there's a handful of other countries nearby that don't have any units or don't have any coalitions formed, so we can utilize that to our advantage and make a new one. But that will all be in time for the next episode. We're going to wait probably about 12 to 24 hours before we hop back in, kind of see our progression in the game. The game does have a 36-hour window where after 36 hours, if there is no movement or playing from a player, the game will kick that opponent and turn them into an AI. So we will see what happens. Thank you for tuning in. If you liked the content so far and are enjoying this slower series compared to the quicker one, or if you're enjoying both, please leave a comment, hit the like button, let me know. And I can't wait to see how this game develops. This is definitely much slower than I'm used to, so it's interesting. It's interesting having to take so much time to think about movements and the consequences of certain actions. That's enough for today. Have an absolute wonderful weekend. Stay safe, and I'll see you in the next episode. Goodbye.